the most important interview of your life is happening right now, and you weren't invited. Somewhere, on a screen, a complete stranger is forming an opinion of you. An opinion that will become a fact before you ever get to speak a single word. By the end of this, you'll understand the invisible architecture of how this silent verdict is reached. And you will see precisely what you can do about it. Because every day you ignore this, you're letting a ghost version of yourself apply for your future jobs, deals, and relationships. You already know the first step anyone takes before a meeting, a call, or a hire. They search your name. This is the new handshake. It happens seconds after your email arrives. But the search is misunderstood. Most people think of it as a background check, a hunt for embarrassing photos or unprofessional comments, a search for red flags. And sometimes it is. But for any decision that truly matters, the search is far more sophisticated. The person on the other end is a detective. They are building a psychological profile. They are hunting for signal, for patterns. Imagine an archaeologist uncovering ancient pottery. A single broken shard reveals almost nothing. It's just a piece of clay, but finding a dozen shards, all from the same area, with the same distinct markings, the same type of glaze, that tells a story. A story about the tools, the culture, the sophistication of the people who live there. Your online activity is a field of these shards. A single tweet is a shard. A photo you were tagged in 5 years ago is a shard. Individually, they are meaningless noise, but collected and assembled, they create a mosaic. That mosaic reveals your obsessions, it shows your intellectual curiosity, or the lack of it. It displays your judgment. Who do you argue with? How do you argue? What ideas do you consistently share or engage with? Are you a creator or a consumer? A critic or a builder? These are the questions being answered, pixel by pixel, with every piece of data they find. They are trying to figure out who you are when you think no one is looking, because that person is who they'll eventually be working with. They are looking for coherence. What they find tells one story. What they fail to find can tell an even more powerful one. The complete absence of a digital presence has become a glaring signal in itself. A decade ago, being offline was a quirk. Now, it's a liability, an information vacuum. And human nature abhors a vacuum. When people find nothing, they assume the worst. The first assumption is that you're hiding something. A troubled past, a series of failed ventures, or views so toxic they had to be scrubbed from the internet. The silence is interpreted as concealment. It forces the other person to guess, and their guess will be built from their own anxieties. They will fill that empty space with risk. The second assumption is that you are irrelevant, that you have no engagement with your industry, no thoughts worth sharing, no curiosity about the currents of the modern world. It suggests you're out of touch. A person who hasn't bothered to build a simple professional profile on LinkedIn seems, to a recruiter or a potential partner, like someone who doesn't understand the basic rules of the game. It's the digital equivalent of showing up to a board meeting in pajamas. The act itself communicates a lack of awareness, a lack of seriousness. You become an unknown quantity, and in business, the unknown is always a threat. Think of it like this. You're interviewing two candidates for a critical role. The first has a detailed, professional online presence. You can see their work history, read articles they've shared, see the intelligent questions they ask in industry forums. You have a textured, three-dimensional view of who they are. The second candidate has nothing, a complete blank slate. Who feels like a safer bet? The known entity, even with a few visible flaws, is almost always preferable to the complete mystery. Your absence creates a story without your input, and you will be judged based on the story you allow to be written for you. This passive judgment is one thing, but what's happening beneath the surface is far more active. Systems are building a profile of you even when you're completely silent, using data you never knew you were creating. You have a doppelganger, an algorithmic twin. It's built from 1 million tiny data points you generate every single day. It's constructed from the articles you read, the videos you watch, and more importantly, the ones you skip. It's shaped by how long you linger on a photo, the accounts you follow, the people you mute. It's built from the emotional sentiment of your comments and the complexity of the language you use. This digital twin is a predictive model of your personality, your interests, and your behavior. And this model is being sold. Platforms like LinkedIn offer powerful tools to recruiters that allow them to filter candidates based on this algorithmic profile. They can search for people who show signals of being likely to move jobs or who have interests that correlate with high performance in certain roles. Your data ghost is being interviewed by a machine long before a human ever sees your resume. It's being categorized, ranked, and sorted. You are being filtered out of opportunities or into them based on a statistical caricature of who you are. This process is entirely invisible. There is no appeal. You can't ask the algorithm why it decided you weren't a good fit. It has already made the decision, and the opportunity is gone. This digital persona is a composite sketch. And while you can influence the parts you directly control, you have almost no say over the data created about you by other people. This is where the real architecture of reputation is built. Every time someone tags you in a photo, you are linked to their network, their reputation. Every time you are mentioned in a comment thread, the context of that conversation becomes part of your story. You are being judged by the company you keep online, just as you are in the physical world. Who are your top 10 most frequent interactions with on social media? What is their reputation? What kind of content do they produce? Their signal bleeds over onto yours. Your network is a public declaration of your values and your judgment. Following a thoughtful industry leader sends a different signal than following a low-effort outrage account. The connections you make are votes. They are public endorsements. Over time, these votes create an undeniable pattern that tells an observer where you place your attention and what you consider important. They can see the intellectual neighborhood you live in, and they will assume you share the values of that neighborhood. This feels defensive. A complex game of avoiding mistakes and managing risk by association, but a very small fraction of people are playing a completely different game. They are using this system offensively. They're building an engine. The most effective professionals have stopped thinking about their online presence as a resume to be maintained. They treat it as a broadcast system. They are engineering a signal, a clear, consistent, and valuable signal that attracts opportunities like a gravity well. This is an active process. It begins by shifting from consumption to creation. Instead of just liking a post from an expert in your field, you write a thoughtful multi-sentence comment that adds a new perspective or asks a clarifying question. At first, this does nothing, but after the 10th or 20th time, you become a familiar name. You are no longer just an audience member, you are part of the conversation. Your name becomes associated with insight. Then, you begin to create your own focused content. You don't need to write a massive blog post. A 100-word analysis of a recent industry trend, posted consistently, does more than 100 likes. It demonstrates you are thinking in public. It shows you can synthesize information and form an opinion. You are creating evidence of your expertise. You are building a library that anyone can access at any time to understand how you think. This creates what is called ambient authority, the feeling, held by people who have never even met you, that you know what you're talking about. Opportunities then start to come to you. People don't just see you as a candidate for a job. They see you as a resource, a potential partner, a trusted voice. They have seen the proof. They have read the archive. You can build the most impressive digital resume in the world with perfect content and flawless connections. It can all be undermined in 3 seconds. Undermined by a single, subconscious test that every single person performs the moment they land on your profile. It's called the congruence test, and it's the most important test of all. Congruence is the feeling of coherence. It's the sense that all the pieces of your online identity tell the same story. It's the gut feeling someone gets when everything just lines up. Does your professional, serious headshot on LinkedIn fit with the witty, informal tone of your Twitter feed? Does the expertise you claim in your bio align with the kinds of articles and people you engage with? Do the values you talk about in a blog post match the tone of your casual comments on a forum? When these things are in harmony, it builds trust at a deep, non-verbal level. The person feels whole, authentic, real. When they are out of sync, it creates a subtle friction, a feeling of unease, a professional profile that feels corporate and stiff, paired with a personal feed full of angry political rants, creates cognitive dissonance. Which one is the real you? The viewer can't know, so they assume the worst. They feel that one of the personas is a performance, a mask, and if you're performing in one area, they'll assume you're performing in all of them. This is where deals fall apart for reasons no one can articulate. It was just a bad feeling. That feeling was the detection of incongruence. The goal is coherence, a single narrative thread that runs through every platform, every interaction. When your presentation of self is consistent, it's believable. The trust it generates is the ultimate currency. Your online presence is the historical record of your judgment. It's an archive of thousands of small decisions. What to click, who to follow, what to say, and just as critically, what to ignore. It is the sum total of your public attention. Every day, you're adding a page to this archive. And this archive is becoming the primary source material for every major decision people make about you. Your digital footprint isn't what you leave behind. It's what walks into the room before you do. The only question is, who do you want that person to be? And this same search for a coherent story is the exact reason a company's mission statement is worthless if its customer service channels tell a different